So this is how you hand stitch chain onto fabric. I just bought some necklace chain at Michael's. It's not the highest quality, but I just wanted to do a demo, and I'm cutting it here with some household scissors. I wouldn't use fabric or your embroidery scissors. You can use jewelry pliers if you like. You'll want to choose a needle that can go through the loops, and then you'll want to double thread it with a thread that matches. I'm using gold thread here. I knot the end of the thread and then I pull it down on top. This is a method I've learned from Hand and Lock and Royal School of Needlework. And then what you do is you create these two tiny little stitches, and they're securing stitches. And then later you'll see that I'm going to cut off the knot that I put on top. If you want to just do it the way where you have a knot in the back and you don't care about knots in the back, you can do that without doing these securing stitches. But this is the method that I have come to prefer. And I'm just putting those two tiny stitches on the line, and they will be hidden by the chain in the end. And here's a close-up look. I know my video quality isn't the best on here, so I'm providing these close-up still photos to show you what I'm doing. So then you want to get your chain, and you want to start by pulling the needle up through on the outside of where the chain is going to go along the line. And then you're going to go back down in the middle of the first loop of the chain. Now again, this is this sort of cheap Michael's chain, and I wouldn't tug on this chain too much when you're trying to pull it straight, because there's these little gaps in the loops and it can come off really easily. So you just want to sort of have it lying as flat as possible, but there you can see how the needle goes through the middle. And then on the next loop, we're going to come up from the bottom. So every other loop will be alternating. We'll come up from the top, we'll come up from the bottom, and then we'll go down each time through the middle, and that will help keep the chain even along the line. Of course, it doesn't have to be a line. It could be an arc that you're going along or something like that. But you come up from the top, then you go through the center, you come up from the bottom, then you go through the center. Going back to what I was talking about with the straightening up of the chain. So here it got a little discombobulated, and I don't want to pull on it too much. When I have enough stitches in, this chain will stay there, but because this is made for jewelry and it's made to be easily plied and have the loops come apart, there's a little gap, and that thread can go through that gap and come off. So you just want to be really gentle when you're stitching something like this onto a garment. Again, if you can find a chain that won't do that, that's great. It just depends on your budget and what you can source, really, depending on where you are and that kind of a thing. So I'm pretending I'm at the end of my design area, and I'm going to put two securing stitches just tucked underneath the chain, and that's how I'm going to end my thread. And once I've done that, I'm going to just snip it, and then I'll be done with that section. If you want to do more, then you just start the process over again. Okay, now we're going to look at what we would do in order to have a sort of a dangling chain. And so my first side is already secured. I would not travel the thread if it's longer than 1 inch. I would go ahead and secure off the first area and then create another second area where you're basically going to tack on the loop. And so I'm creating my two little securing stitches. I'm trying to come up through my loop here, or beside it, and then I'm going to come back down. But actually I realize that my chain is kind of wonky and I need to straighten it out. So I take the time to do it. Again, you got to be delicate here. And so now I'm grabbing the top loop with my needle. It's not wanting to go out right. There it goes. And then I'm pulling it down, and it slid out because that loop has just the tiniest little gap, and this thread is really thin. But I'm going to try again. Here I go. And I'm pulling down into the center, or I'm just taking the needle down through the center. I'm not pulling, trying not to pull on anything. And it's staying in place, and I'm going to do it again and pull up from the side again, the other side, and then go down through the middle. And because of the nature of this chain, these little gaps in the loops, I'm actually going to go ahead and secure the second loop down, just to give it a little added security. For a chain that didn't have these little gaps, I might not need to do this. But I'm just going to go ahead and do it for this one. Coming up the other side and in through the middle. And then I can hide my... I also could have cut off my knot at this point so it doesn't keep catching on my loop. And then just hiding the little the ending securing stitches behind the chain. So now, because I didn't cut off my knot ahead of time, I'm pulling my thread up near my knot, and I'm just going to cut those off in one swoop. And there's my chain, my little dangle chain. I'm going to take it off my stand so you can see it do a proper dangle. And there it is. That looks pretty fun. A little dangle chain. And that is how you hand stitch chain onto fabric. And thanks for watching, and hope you'll follow. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks.